Those are your headlines. Eric.
All right, thank you, guys. The father of NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden desperately wants to see his son come home, even if it means arrest and prosecution. But another notorious leaker, Julian Assange, has a better idea. He resurfaced over the weekend, encouraging Snowden to keep on running and keep on leaking. Listen.
Look, there is no stopping the publishing process at this stage. Great care has been taken to make sure that Mr. Snowden can't be pressured by any state to stop the publication process. I mean, the United States, by cancelling his passport, has left him for the moment marooned in Russia. To take a passport from a young man in a difficult situation like that is a disgrace. He is a hero.
Bruce Fine was the Associate Deputy Attorney General under Ronald Reagan. He now represents Edward Snowden's father, Lon Snowden, and is trying to broker a deal with the DOJ. Thank you for joining us. So I wanted to run that soundbite first, Bruce, because that was Julian Assange. A lot of Americans don't have a lot of, they have a big distaste for Julian Assange. But you're going to tell me that that doesn't necessarily represent your opinion. Is that right?
We are trying to reach a common objective, I believe, with the Department of Justice of creating information directly to Mr. Edward Snowden that would enable him to make an intelligent decision of what's available back in the United States with regard to due process. Mr. Assange really is a sideshow to some degree. We are still working for a direct communications link between Lon, his father, and Edward, so that his father has a confidence level that decisions being made are fully informed by Edward and are genuinely Edward's. We don't have that direct link yet. One thing I do want to clarify, however, at the outset when you suggested that the father would like to have his son return for a full trial, I think that's a little bit misleading. The father wants to make certain that the son knows all of his legal options, what is available back here, so it's fully informed. His father respects the fact that Edward's 30 years old now, he's an adult, he has to chart his own destiny, and his father's not going to dictate that.
Right, Bruce. You wrote a letter to the Department of Justice, Eric Holder specifically, last week. We talked about it. Can I show the conditions? Let me show the conditions. Pull it up. There you go. Number one, that Ed Snowden won't be detained before trial. Number two, he wouldn't be subject to a gag order. And number three, that the trial would occur in a venue of Ed Snowden's choice. First of all, have you heard back from the Department of Justice, Eric Holder?
Not yet, but I want to underscore these were not ultimatums. Remember, the letter stated that these are conditions that the father, Lon, based upon his knowledge of Edward, thinks would enable him to make an intelligent decision and decide to come back and receive a fair trial. And so I don't want anyone to suggest that we are trying to dictate the law. No one gets to do that in the United States. The rule of law trumps. But this is what we're suggesting, that would be a collaborative effort to try to provide the conditions that are not at all irregular, to enable there to be a full and complete trial and exposure of what was done, what was the motivation, and otherwise. There have been other instances where those accused of espionage have not been detained prior to trial. John Kiriakou, Daniel Ellsberg, Samuel Morrison, things like that. And with regard to the venue, remember that Timothy McVeigh was tried in Denver because he thought he couldn't get a fair trial in Oklahoma City. And we just want to make certain that any decision that was made was by a fully impartial jury, an impartial judge, not biased because of the circumstances of the location. So we don't think that we're suggesting that the conditions are at all irregular, but again, they're not ultimatums. They're saying if you want to go forward, here's a way to do it.
I have less than a minute. Let's just talk about this a little bit. The concern is that some of the things that were going on under this administration were illegal. Bruce, you want to talk about the Fourth Amendment very quickly?
Yes, exactly. And we need to underscore that in a democracy, you don't have secret law that was going on here for 7 years. When we had so-called secret law in an earlier administration, it was disclosed ultimately by the New York Times. Congress, the American people deliberately come up with a new statute. And the idea that this particular program that has the NSA collecting metadata on every single American, every single call, is truly frightening, because it's based upon the assumption that we're all suspected terrorists, and therefore all of our communications are relevant to a terrorist investigation. That's not how we do things in the United States. In a republic, the people censure the government. The government does not censure the people. And we already are thinking of creating, a statute that would address some of these problems. But that's the focus that Edward Snowden wanted to get the country on. And that was sort of forced upon him because Congress was irresponsible in not disclosing this to the American people when they have, under the Constitution, what's called the Speech or Debate Clause privilege to enable disclosures of even classified information when necessary to call government wrongdoing to account. And this was done years ago with regard to the Pentagon Papers. Senator Mike Gravel read 47 volumes of classified information into the public record, and that helped, I think, expose the government lies that brought the Vietnam War to a speedier and more just conclusion. It's in that spirit, I think, that Edward Snowden did what he did, is what his father wants to make this a case not about Edward Snowden, but who we are as a people. The right to be left alone from government snooping is a cherished right.
Absolutely, sir. You used to work for Ronald Reagan, one of my personal heroes. What would Reagan do?
I think he would do like what he did in Iran-Contra. He had all the waiver privileges going, and he had a full, complete investigation by Congress. I think that was the most fully cooperative executive that we've had in the last 50 years.
I'll leave it right there, Bruce Fein. Thank you very much for